All right, Randy Walker here in Upper Manhattan, outside of Fort Tryon. It's Fort Tryon Park here in New York City, and this was a fort in the American Revolution. It was originally called Fort Washington, and was held by the American colonials in until November 16th, 1776. Just read an article about it, so that's why I'm so smart about it. But anyway, the British, after defeating George Washington and his army of American revolutionaries, they retreated here, or the British were advancing, trying to take over New York, and they advanced onto this fort, Fort Washington, and the British contingent was led by General Howe, but he had most of his army were Hessians, which were German mercenaries, and they attacked this fort, which was right here, which is obviously an excellent strategic position because it looks out over the Hudson River there. You can mount cannons there and so forth. But the Hessians, fighting on behalf of the British, stormed the fort and captured the fort in a battle. And General Washington was observing the battle from just over on the other side of the Hudson River in New Jersey. To his dismay, seeing his soldiers being overtaken. One story that I read that was quite interesting was there was a American soldier named John Corbin who was manning cannon, and he was killed. But his wife, named Margaret Corbin, was with him, and when she saw that her husband had been killed, she immediately took up his position at the cannon and started firing cannonballs at the British, and she was wounded in the battle, and she is the first ever woman casualty injury in American combat history. So quite a story there, and the entrance to the park is named after her, so that's quite appropriate, quite interesting. So just giving you a little tour there, so you can see the Hudson River in the background, and this looks out on the other side, which also has an amazing strategic position, looking over the there's the subway here. So the subway, you got the East River somewhere right over there, East River. Not sure if cannonballs can get there, but at least within sight. So anyway, so the British took over the fort that was called Fort Washington, and they renamed it Fort Tryon, which was the name of the last British governor of New York. And there's a view of the park there. And the name stuck. So in 1883, when the Revolutionary War was over and America gained its independence with a treaty with Britain, the British evacuated this fort, but the name stuck. It stayed being called Fort Tryon, despite so many other things in New York City changing to American names from British names, and originally Dutch names too. The Dutch, of course, were the first settlers here from Europe, and so that's kind of interesting. So the name stayed the same, and it was not renamed Fort Washington, but this area of New York City is called Washington Heights, and obviously there's a lot of things named after Washington around here and around the country. And so this plaque here on the wall, it says Fort Tryon Park, and it says this historic area and its surroundings were developed and presented to the people of the city of New York in 1935 by John D. Rockefeller Jr. The adjacent hilltop and outpost of Fort Washington was gallantly defended in November 1776 by the Maryland and Virginia Regiment. After its capture, it was named Fort Tryon in honor of the last English civil governor of New York. And this was dedicated in June 15th, 2010, which said at Fort Tryon Park, in recognition of the generous support David Rockefeller has given to the Fort Tryon Park Trust on the occasion of the park's 75th anniversary. This site is hereby dedicated as the David Rockefeller Linden Terrace, June 15th, 2010. So anyway, a little bit of history here in Upper Manhattan, Revolutionary War history, and highly recommend coming here. I've been in New York City for 23 years, and this is the first time I've ever been up here. And you have beautiful park here, beautiful sights of the Hudson River and the George Washington Bridge, and also the Cloister just north here, which is a medieval art museum that really makes you feel like you're in medieval France. So definitely a great tourist attraction here in Upper Manhattan. So just a little history here, which I love, and love to learn new things. So it's a great visit here to Fort Tryon Park, Upper New York City.